Got some listener questions again. I thought I'd go ahead and read one of them off. In fact, I think we might have a little bit of time where we can probably read both of the ones that we have if you want. So okay. I'll start with the first. Ron B writes in about our overall thoughts on inclusion in video games. He was specifically remarking on black characters or characters of color. And he mentions, we all know about the outright sexist history of video games due to them being marketed at teenage boys for the most part, for the longest time, which is true. He mentioned, online play can be extremely toxic on certain games, with a lot of people just expressing every ism in existence. But he's curious if we feel like there's a game or games with really strong characters of color. He said, we play a lot more games than he has, and he tried to think of one with a really fleshed out or well done protagonist, and he couldn't come up with any on his own that didn't include games where you use like a creative player. So he's really interested in well-written and believable characters that are from different perspectives than his own, which I think is a really refreshing interest. There's so much hubbub or complaints from, the gamers with a capital G, the gamers TM, if you will, where they just get mad anytime you don't play as a straight white male. And right. I feel like it's the wrong take to have, because part of the allure of video games to me is being able to jump into the shoes of somebody else that I may not, normally understand or interact with on a daily basis, and being able to see things through their perspective. And you can do that with movies, but you can do that so much better in video games. So I think like this is the perfect medium to expand your horizons and learn about different perspectives and cultures, personally speaking. Definitely. So I relish the chance to play as different types of characters. But since he asked, can you think of any games with characters with strong protagonists of color that you could recommend to listeners out there as well as Ron?
Yeah, so not many, because again, there aren't many, hence the question. But one that came to mind was Mafia 3. Now, the main character in Mafia 3 is Lincoln Clay. He's a 20-something black man that went to war and comes back home, and ends up all his friends and his family end up getting killed by the mafia. And it's basically a revenge tale. And I got really into it, and I just kind of stopped playing it. I don't know why, but like Same. Lincoln Clay as a character, I really dug him. He looked fucking cool, and he was badass. But again, like I didn't finish playing it, and that's not so much a fault of the character as it is a fault of the game and the gameplay.
Yeah, I was going to say about halfway through, it got a little repetitive for me, and I think other stuff was just coming out. I think it was just a combination of when it came out and the flow of gameplay. I would agree with you on that. I got about halfway through myself. But yeah, I remember liking him as a protagonist for sure. So
yeah.
Anybody else?
Then we got Deathloop coming out, which features 2 characters of color who are like the main character. So the character you play as, and then his antagonist is a black woman,
his nemesis,
and the character and I don't know if there's going to be maybe 2 campaigns that you do, or if there's going to be some sort of drop in drop out online stuff where somebody drops in as the female character and tries to kill you, or what. I don't know. But if you like Dishonored and anything that Arcane has done in the past, then it's basically the same thing, only only you play as a black guy and there's a death loop of some sort.
Okay.
I don't know. I want to check it out,
Yeah.
And the other game was from Square Enix, and it's called Forspoken. Now, we haven't seen a lot. We've seen a little bit of gameplay, but it's the game where you play as a African-American woman, and I guess she gets transported to some mystical land, and there's like dragons.
A world of dragons. I remember that, yeah.
A world of dragons.
One of the recent PlayStation State of Plays featured that. She was like, shit.
Right. Is that a fucking dragon?
Never-ending story.
Right. I remember when Stranger Things was on, and I said, yeah, they sang this song. That song from Stranger Things.
How dare you?
And you were like, you mean the song Never-ending Story?
Yeah. That's that age gap.
But yeah, Forspoken, play as a black woman, and she has like magical powers or something. She's in a mystical land.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing
It looks really dope.
Yeah,
it looks really cool. So Basically, all my recommendations, two of the three aren't even out yet, and one of them I didn't finish playing. So that goes to show you the difference between games with protagonists of color and games with just straight white males or white ladies.
White lady.
And like I was saying in the notes, like the white ladies have been killing it
Crushing
in
it
games
lately.
lately.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, the game industry is like, we got to inch our way to black. So if we're going to do the white males, then we're going to do the white ladies, okay? Then we're
My
going to do
favorite
some
white lady
Asians.
to play as is definitely Celine in Returnal. That was good times.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So you got Celine.
Yeah, she's
You
badass.
got Aloy.
Mm.
What's her name from Control?
What is her name?
I forget.
I don't know.
You got Ellie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
And
4.
Abby.
And those are, Ellie and Abby. So that's 5. And those are major, big budget games.
Huge.
Like, those are nothing to
League
scoff
games.
at. Those aren't indie titles.
Mm-mm.
So hopefully, these companies will start realizing that, hey, black people like games too.
And not only that, but it's like white people are okay playing as protagonists who are different races than them.
Right.
Not again, squeaky wheels, right? There's a lot of people that just like to complain and their voices seem to rise above all the rest. But I believe they're a minority. They're starting to realize that the market out there is a lot more diverse. And more importantly, the people making games are starting to diversify. So I'll give my examples real quick. I can think of Jade from Beyond Good and Evil.
Okay.
She's a person of color, I believe, at least from my memory. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
She seems of Asian descent.
Yeah. Fortune from Metal Gear Solid 2, Sons of Liberty. And what I like about her, she's a person of color who that's not like made a big deal. Like she's that's like just a part of her identity, right?
Right.
Her main thing is that her father was killed by Revolver Ocelot, but I think she blames Solid Snake because he's the one that got blamed for taking down the tanker in the beginning of the game, and she feels she's like super lucky and nobody can kill her, and she's like super depressed, and she has her own theme song, and she's like one of the people, So she was actually a really fun character. Barrett from Final Fantasy VII, which the original game, Japan tried, but the remake, he's definitely, damn near to good. So I really like him in the remake.
Dropping you from here will get me damn near to good.
Yep. And of course, the Zaz from Final Fantasy 13. And he was a great character. Again, he was a good dad, just like Barrett.
American man with an afro and guns.
Yep. There you go. Just gotta give him guns. But at least they weren't attached to his arm. So there's that. You had mentioned earlier, and you forgot to mention her just now, Nadine from Uncharted.
Oh yeah, Nadine
was
from
one of your
Uncharted.
Examples.
Yeah, and I was really trying to stick to protagonists, but then I brought up the issue that she's African American in the game, but she's also voiced by a white woman. So
she's voiced by a white lady.
Yeah, so it's kind of split down the middle.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean?
Yeah. Marcus from Watch Dogs 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Adam from Streets of Rage.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I could think of off the top of my head. But there's probably more. To be honest, you're definitely going to find a lot more on the indie side. But also, I think it's more important not just to focus on well-rounded or well-written black characters, but focus on games that are developed by people of color. Gamer Friends did an episode on this back in 2018. I don't know if they've done any recent because I'm kind of going through their episodes, but they went to the Gamer Developers of Color Expo and talked about a lot of really cool games that people were developing there. And so they have expos for that. When Lady Momo-chan was on, she runs the Anime Gaming Network, and that's full of a diverse team, people of color and people from the LGBTQ plus community that they write and talk about games. And then you have Black Girl Gamers, which we talked about that because she kind of started her interest in that. That's a group that specifically celebrates black women in gaming and tries to get them started on gaming development. So if you really want to focus on strong characters of color, I would focus on those development studios that have those people on their team. Because as you had just alluded to with Nadine, you can have a black character and she seems well written and strong, but who wrote her dialogue and who is voicing her is just as important.
Right.
Is there any actual black people working at that particular developer? And then you have to consider developers like Ubisoft who say that they're diverse, but then you see how they actually treat the people that work for them and you realize, yeah, you're not really you're supporting a pretty hostile and toxic work environment at that point if you're supporting them. Not laying blame on anybody who buys their games. I'm just saying that if you're really wanting to get in the spirit of inclusion, focus on who's making the games and the company that they work for, and I think from there you'll find what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So, all right.